Okay, and it's time for Final Chase, Shadow's final level, and is very equivalent to Sonic's final level as well, in the way that it takes place outside of the colony and is kind of based around rail grinding. Well, there is a lot of rail grinding. Shadow has another component to his level right here that we'll see in a bit that makes it not as fun as Sonic's final level was, unfortunately, but still very enjoyable if you ask me. So that cutscene right there, I think that is probably the worst example, or the best example, rather, of the English translation of this game's original script just not being all that great. So, Rouge is trying to steal the last 6 emeralds for herself, and Shadow finally recognizes her as Rouge the Bad, working for the president or the government spy. And I think this is where it becomes kind of a problem. There's not really much of a differentiation between Gun and like the actual government, like run by the president. I think they are indeed quite separate, because the president does not have knowledge of like the operations that Gun was undergoing, and I think they operate pretty separately. I think it would make sense if Gun was more of a private military. But Rouge, she doesn't really work for Gun. I mean, that's another plot hole that people kind of point out in the way that, okay, if she's in on it, like if she's working for Gun, then why did she have to go to Prison Island and steal all 3 emeralds that way? Well, the answer to that is that she actually just works for the president. She's not a government spy in the way that you would associate it with Gun, but rather that she's just kind of like a personal hire for the president. This is backed up in the hero story, whenever Sonic and Tails track down the president, like in his limousine, and his secretary says that, like, their agent is reporting in. So it was a mistranslation that that Shadow would recognize her because, oh god, did I just fall? I did, yikes. So don't jump whenever you're on the downside. I thought we would be safe on the gravity. But by the way, yeah, that's the main gimmick of Shadow Stage right here is going to be these little gravity spiral things. I don't really like them too much because the control gets kind of wonky when you're on top of them, like we saw right there, kind of easy to fall off and die. But regardless, you know, it's something that sets him apart from Sonic's final level at the very least. But yeah, long story short is that if it was translated accurately, she would have been known, I believe the original script just said she's a legendary treasure hunter, not actually a government spy. So no one actually knows that she is working for the government this time, being like a secret agent of the president. Rather, she's just well-renowned for being a treasure hunter and going after jewels of that effect. So, which is why Shadow would recognize her when she's like, oh, I won like all 6 of the emeralds in my compensation and, you know, things like that. But also, the other question that arises, and one that I don't really understand, is like, why doesn't Rouge just take those emeralds once Shadow has kind of left that core, where you place all the emeralds in order to power the cannon, to go stop Sonic? And I guess she could nab them and run out, but I was always kind of under the impression when I was a kid, as we'll see later, that once you put the emeralds in there, they're kind of locked in there. I don't think you can actually remove them. And also, if that's not the case, I guess you can make the argument that, you know, Eggman has quote-unquote beaten Sonic. He's on his way back. Shadow has directly threatened Rouge, and Rouge knows how powerful he is. Like, Rouge knows that he can teleport from, like, one spot to another, so, you know, maybe that's a threat that she would indeed take a little bit seriously, so I think it's pretty easy to actually cover that up. But right here we have an optional upgrade for Shadow, one that I didn't necessarily mean to get, but it's the Mystic Melody. And this is the one upgrade that every single character can actually get. Change to Mystic Melody in the action window, then press the circle button to play Mysterious Melody. So, we have seen this thing around in various stages as pretty much all of the characters, so if you find the Mystic Melody upgrade, you can play like a little flute right here, and it'll do different things. Sometimes it'll create a portal that you jump into, sometimes it'll create a spring, sometimes it'll create a trail of rings in order to do a light speed dash on, so the effects are, you know, there's a lot of them that can actually happen. And every single character can find the Mystic Melodies, but they tend to be very difficult to find as the characters. I think they're the most difficult upgrades to actually find in most cases. I think they made the Shadow one right there not all that difficult to find, just to kind of clue you in that, yeah, you've seen those weird relics like all over the game, not just in like the Shadow and Sonic stages. So once you get the Mystic Melody in Shadow and you're able to activate that, it stands to reason that all the other characters can probably find one too. And since you're here at the end of the game, most likely, because most characters will pick the hero side story first, maybe you should go back and replay all the stages with the upgrades that you have amassed and see if you can find things like the Mystic Melody, see if there are any other hidden upgrades throughout the stages. And yeah, like I said, there are some weird ones you could find. I don't think I'm going to do a walkthrough, you know, to show you how to like get all of them, or show you guys how to get all of them and what they do. Because honestly, a lot of them just aren't all that useful, I think, for regular play. Maybe when it comes to doing all the various missions you can do to get all the emblems, like, maybe then it would be pretty useful. Because I can think of off the top of my head right now, I think both Knuckles and Rouge actually get something that is like a more advanced radar or something like that. Or it lets you know where you can find like additional items like underground and things like that. So maybe that would be useful, and, you know, those types of replays, but, you know, just for my purposes, not all that useful. I think I might go through, like, on my own time and actually try to get all those upgrades just so I can have the characters wearing as much crap as possible. I don't know, I just always gotta get a kick out of it. Some of them actually look pretty cool, though. Rouge gets, like, an eyepiece, you know, like a Google Glass Star Trek kind of device. I think that actually complements her pretty well. Knuckles gets like weird sunglasses. Like it could be pretty cool to look at. I think is what I'm trying to get at. So maybe I'll do that, maybe I won't. But just bottom line right there, as the stage is also taking a pretty long time. It is the final stage of the Dark Story, so it'd be weird if it didn't. Don't jump right there again. I wanted to get the spring, but again, these things are a little finicky. But it'll just be worth your time then. You know, if you're playing through the game for the first time. You know, like, go ahead and replay the levels, if not just to get, you know, like a good grade going through them regularly, but also finding all the upgrades and maybe doing some additional missions to get additional emblems and all that stuff. I know there are a lot of people on record who have said, and you know, these are hardcore Sonic fans, these are hardcore completionists that are like, yeah, Sonic Adventure 2 is the best Sonic game to complete. And as far as just pure content and how enjoyable I think that content can be, I mean, I would be hard-pressed to disagree. Like, there's an iceberg here. Like, we're just kind of on the tip here going casually through the story. But when it comes to completing it and all the stuff the game has to offer to you, not just from completing the stages with various missions and whatnot, but also with like the Chow Guard and stuff, like there's a lot here. And for the most part, a lot of it's enjoyable. I mean, I don't think I would find any enjoyment like trying to get the A rank on all the Mad Space levels, and yes, I'm still hung up on that, but there's a lot of other good stuff. Hey, we got above 10,000.
That wasn't so hard.
Yeah, at least not an E. Anything's better than the E, right?
You never cease to surprise me, Blue Hedgehog. I thought that capsule you were in exploded in space.
You know, what can I say? I die hard.
So, there's more to you than just looking like me. What are you, anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
I see. But you know, I can't let you live. Your adventuring days are coming to an end.
So there's a fascinating theory, and I think, you know, it's just kind of fascinating just within the context of this game. You know, future games would do absolutely nothing with it. As we're going to start the same boss fight as we had with Sonic, except it's against Sonic himself this time. The first time to like a fight against Sonic has actually felt pretty cool. You know, we had the character battles in the original Sonic Adventure. I think when you were Gamma, you fought as Sonic. I think that was the first time you ever fought like Sonic, like in a main series game. This time, this feels like an actual fight. I can just somersault into him right there. Also, he'll use Chaos Control with the Fake Emerald to get back to the playing field, just like Shadow would use the Fake Emerald to get back to the playing field as well. Just proving that they can both use Chaos Control with the Fake Emerald, you know. So really good stuff there. But the fascinating theory is like this whole notion of Shadow wondering like, what is Sonic exactly? Like, you are not a regular Hedgehog. You're able to use Chaos Control just like I can. You're able to use the Fake Emerald in order to you know, escape your impending doom. But also, you know, I don't know if Shadow knows this, but all the facts and all the other examples that Sonic is, all the other times rather that Sonic has used the Emeralds to do pretty fantastic things, going into super form and all the games past and things like that, really able to just take advantage of, you know, the Chaos Emerald's powers like Shadow thought probably only he could do. And we're going to talk more about this, you know, in the final story, you know, the one that actually gets past this. But okay, if I do that, I think, well, how am I supposed to do this again? I think I'm supposed to wait. I have to wait till he does Sonic win. Yeah, and not stop. I don't know why I stopped exactly, but I have to wait till he does that, and then maybe somersault into him right there. Yeah, he does have one more hit. So I think he definitely has more health than Shadow did back when we fought Shadow and Sonic. But, you know, just this notion of like, okay, Sonic seems to be like really special. Okay, he seems to have something to him that is just, you know, like really hyper unique. But, you know, again, we'll get more on that in the future. But here we go, that should do it. There we go, that's it for Sonic the Hedgehog. Mwahaha. And again, you know, games in the future would abandon that. I mean, this game kind of marks the end of an era as far as, like, really caring about the story, I feel. I mean, it was the only example of them caring about the story, I don't know. Guess it depends on, your personal feelings.
The glorious era of the Empire of Eggman.
there we go, Eggman actually won! Ooh. So I guess the thing about that is, like, how do you spin it, but, you know, you played as the bad guys and the bad guys won, while still keeping both the hero and the dark side canonical. I guess you just kind of abruptly end it like that. I always thought that was kind of awkward. Although, there is the notion of, like, canonically who wins the character battles at the end, out of the three. I think it's pretty obvious that Knuckles canonically won the battle against Rouge, or at least they came to a standstill. The plot doesn't really change depending on which one canonically won. I think it's safe to say that canonically Sonic probably did beat Shadow, and he was able to get to the end because we saw him kind of destroy the cannon before it was able to attack the Earth. He was probably able to get the cannon in there, or the fake emerald in there, and destroy the actual cannon. Because it doesn't really make sense, like, if Shadow actually canonically beat Sonic, he probably didn't let Sonic live. Sonic would probably be dead. And as far as Eggman vs. Tails is concerned, I think it's pretty clear that canonically Eggman was the battle of that one, unfortunately, because Eggman was able to get the legitimate 7th Emerald that Tails had and put it into that control panel, thus triggering what he believes is going to be the giant FU Eclipse Cannon laser that's going to ensure his domination as a part of the Eggman Empire for the foreseeable future. So I think that's how that happened. I think Eggman actually won. He did amass all 7 emeralds, he did put them in the control panel. I do think that Sonic actually won too, and he got the fake emerald into the actual cannon and destroyed the cannon proper. So what's going to happen after that? I guess we'll see with the final story. But as a whole, yeah, I do think I enjoyed the hero story a little bit more, just because there are a lot more Sonic stages. I think the Sonic stages, as a whole, are better designed than the Shadow stages as well. And there are just not that many Shadow stages. I mean, there were only 4, as opposed to like the 6 that we got as Sonic. So I definitely think the hero side story is the more enjoyable romp. But from a story perspective, you know, it is kind of awkward to play through it, because like I said, all the mistranslations and the weird mixing that this version of the game on the PlayStation 3 has, the mixing between the music and the audio and the voices, is kind of distracting. You know, kind of takes away from what could, you know, be a much more enjoyable experience. You can mod that out on PC, though. Like, people have done that and they've recommended it before. So, hey, if you want to do it yourself, you can, but experiencing the story, I guess, is a bit more neat, but as far as just pure gameplay is concerned, I have to give the edge to the hero side story. Although I will give it to the dark side story. They made the mech shooting stages, I'm not gonna say a lot more enjoyable, but I did enjoy like the second half with the Eggman stages more than I did with the second half with the Tails stages at the very least. But altogether, like, still a good package. I wouldn't say it's bad at all. I mean, we're through the vast majority of the game now too, so I mean, I'm still liking it a whole lot. Hard to believe it was only Sonic's 10th anniversary when this is released. And we're coming up on the freaking 30th? Like, man. Man, oh man.
The ultimate life form.
Chaos
Vengeance.
control.
Space
Desperation.
Supersonic.
Collision.
Untamed power. of
Maria.
Chaos Emerald.
Professor Gerald did the
Apocalypse.
truth about 50 years ago.
Sonic Adventure 2. Last episode. Wishes are eternal.
Wishes are eternal. Remember what I said to you earlier in another episode, that a lot of things that are lost in translation is Shadow's purpose to fulfill the wishes of those around him? Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more when we get to the last story. Yeah. It's kind of very similar to what they did in the original Sonic Adventure, to where when you had beaten all 6 characters' campaigns, you got the Super Sonic story, and this one is just the last story. We don't have to go through 6 freaking campaigns in order to do it, but yeah, this is going to be the last one. I don't remember how long this is actually going to take. I think compared to the actual hero or dark side stories, it is not all that long, but it is going to be substantially more difficult. So what I think I'm going to do is, you know, I've played the hero story and the dark side story pretty cold turkey, you know, just kind of jumping in from memory. I think I'm going to practice the last story on another older profile I have a little bit more, so I'm not making a complete fool of myself, and so I can make the ending stages just a little bit more smoothly there. I think, you know, I am leaning towards going through the stages yet again and actually getting the upgrades as all of the characters, just so I can have them. It's just kind of some personal satisfaction. But that's going to be all for today, guys. Next time we are going to enter the last story and finish this thing up. So, see you guys then.